never been more mad when I found out that somebody was making more money for the same job that I was doing.
It's just wrong.
I mean, lit mad, like,
Yeah, like Godzilla, like,
yeah.
I'm going to burn
I'm
this
burning
down.
all this down. I'm burning it down.
And it's so amazing to hear about it now.
Yeah.
Because you feel like on some level, although they haven't passed Lilly Ledbetter, a bill that's about equal pay, and although we haven't, it just seems inconceivable.
Yeah.
But yet happens all the time, like obviously in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. That's all we hear. Well, people are finally taking and talking about the issue of pay inequality in a real way.
A Canadian magazine, Maclean's, made headlines when it made two covers. For one issue, they had two separate prices. The one for women was priced at $6.99, and the one for men was $8.81 to account for the 26% gender pay gap in Canada.
Which I love.
I love it.
I love that.
It goes to show you this is tangibly what that means.
Yes, this is real money. Also, after a mass walkout by women in Iceland, the country enacted a law making it mandatory for companies with 25 or more employees to show that they provide equal pay.
Go ahead, Iceland. What? What's
ahead.
up? You got Bjork in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the map.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of incredible.
Right.
So we went out and asked people, what would you do if you found out someone at work was getting paid more than you for the same job?
That's happened to me, so I can say that when I have found out that people have gotten paid, especially people with less experience, I'm livid. And I've brought it up to managers, and I've called HR.
I would find out if they're really doing a better job than I am and deserve it. Because you can't just assume because we have the same job that we're worth the same money.
If I found out that somebody was getting paid more than me and we're doing the same job, I'm telling them they can all kiss my rump.
I was like, where's the burn it down person? Where's the burn it down person?
Well, joining us via Skype is Joy Cheney of equalpaytoday.org. Welcome to Me Time, Joy.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I love you, Frangela. You're hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Well, what exactly is equalpaytoday.org?
Okay, so Equal Pay Today is a campaign to close the gender wage gap. And we have recently transitioned and are housed within Equal Rights Advocates, which is located right in California. But we're a nationwide campaign comprised of women's legal projects who work at the local, state, and federal level to close that gender wage gap for women and women of color. We're big about centering the experiences of women of color in the workplace because the wage gap disproportionately impacts them.
Well, what is the wage gap, for women and women of color between men?
And white men.
Yeah.
Okay, so the wage gap for women compared to men, which is sort of what we observe in April when we say Equal Pay Day, is about 80 cents. And that has not changed for a while. It's been stagnant at that. The wage gap for women of color, though, is much deeper. And when we do that, we compare women of color, so Black women, for instance, have about a 61% wage gap when compared to white, non-Hispanic men. For Latinas, that's 53 cents.
Wow.
So what that means is Black women have an equal pay day that's roughly sometime in the summer, which means they have to work to either the end of July or August to make what a white man earned at the end of December the previous year.
Wow.
That's too much more.
That is
That's
huge.
Yeah, that's between 8 and 9 months more, yeah.
That accounts for so much of my attitude that I didn't even know about.
Right?
That's correct. For Latina women, though, they have the latest equal pay day in the country. Their equal pay day is not until November 1st.
Come
So they
on,
work
Latina,
like 11
year.
Do you believe that we can achieve equal pay? And how, what steps are we?
Absolutely. So we can achieve equal pay. But the one thing we have to do is realize that the wage gap is contributed to by many factors. So there are things like occupational segregation, women and women of color being concentrated in low-paying fields, but also when women of color begin working in certain fields, the salaries go down, right? So teaching, think about that, right?
Yeah.
The salaries are depressed.
I have a question.
Right.
I'm I'm a woman working in a job and I say, okay, I find out that somebody is making more, a man is making more money than me.
In my job.
In my job. We do the same exact thing. What do I do? Do I have any recourse? Should I say something? Should I keep my mouth shut and hope I keep my job?
That's right. Well, you should never keep your mouth shut, but you shouldn't make it about the other person, right? So this isn't really about your colleague and whether they're smart or not or deserving. It's really about you and your work. So what I would do is I would go to my employer, let them know I've discovered the discrepancy, wanting to have a sense of what's the wage range for that particular job, and trying to see see what they say, what's the justification for this gap. One of the things they are likely to say is, well, it's your prior salary. You came in earning less.
Right.
It's why women's rights advocates, including Equal Pay Today, are fighting to limit the use of prior salary, which really just perpetuates the wage gap. Now, I like taking a Louis Vuitton from job to job, but I definitely don't want to take wage gap baggage from job to job.
Wage
what
gap baggage. Wow.
That's what happens.
Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us.
Me Time with Frangela.